Hi, I'm Dr. Antonio Graceffo, and welcome to China Economic Research, coming to you from Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Today's episode, Press Freedom in China. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and all Google sites and applications, including Gmail, are blocked in China. This includes that I'm not a robot CAPTCHA thing that you have to click on to access certain websites. That CAPTCHA is often powered by Google. So although the site itself may be allowed in China, you can't actually use it because you can't complete the CAPTCHA. Blogging sites are blocked, such as Blogger and WordPress, meeting apps like Zoom and Google Hangout or Chat. News sources such as the New York Times and Financial Times are blocked, as are Chinese language media from overseas services. And yet, when you talk about freedom in China, the pro-government side will point at the Chinese Constitution, which is not terribly different from the U.S. Constitution, and say, we have freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of speech, and on and on. And after that, they'll generally veer off topic and talk about school shootings, gun violence, and drug arrests in the U.S. In a culture where saving face is paramount, and an autocratic state with strict controls on criticism, appearance, in a culture where saving face is paramount and an autocratic state with strict controls on criticism, appearance is everything. So from the standpoint of the Chinese Communist Party and those who support them, the fact that the government wrote on a piece of paper that people had certain freedoms meant that they did, irrespective of how or if those freedoms were actually being supported in practice. Before we look at press freedom, I just want to look briefly at religious freedom, which I also did a full video series on. If you care to know more about religious freedom in China, you can go check out those videos. But understanding religious freedom in China helps us understand all of the other freedoms as well. Article 36 of the Chinese Constitution says that citizens enjoy freedom of religious belief. It also bans discrimination based on religion and forbids state organs, public organizations, or individuals from compelling citizens to believe in or not believe in any particular faith. One way of interpreting this is to say that religious freedom in China means being free to believe or not believe in religion. There is no mention in the law about being free to practice or observe your religion as you see fit, and no mention of being able to choose any religion that you want, only that you are free to choose or not choose a religion. In practice, China's law on religious activities only allows citizens to select atheism or one of 5 permitted religions. This include Buddhist Association of China, Chinese Taoist Association, Islamic Association of China, Three Self-Patriotic Movement, which is the Protestant church, and Chinese Patriotic Catholic Association, all of which are under the State Administration for Religious Affairs and ultimately under the control of the Communist Party. No other religions would be permitted to hold religious services in China, and citizens would not be allowed to practice other religions. Therefore, banned religions in China would include Judaism, Mormonism, Falun Gong, Hindu, Sikhism, Baha'i, Baptist, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventist, Pentecostal, and on, and any other religion of the thousands on this planet that is not included in the permitted 5. A pro-Beijinger told me the other day, China doesn't ban religions, only cults, and all countries ban cults. And I said, no, they don't. Western countries generally do not ban religions, and the United States does not ban cults. This could be the subject of another video, but part of the issue is that being raised in a country such as China, where there is very little foreign media and no debate or criticism of government policies, it's easy for people to believe the narrative that they're being fed. And they lack the analytical skills because of a lack of a history of debate and lack a basis of knowledge to intelligently analyze what they're being told and see if it makes sense. If you honestly believed that all countries banned cults, then you would probably believe that China has religious freedom. Similarly, I was living in Guangdong briefly during the SARS outbreak, and we were able to get news from Hong Kong on the TV. So I was watching the TV news with a friend of mine, and after talking about several other topics, the newscaster said, "And now a report on SARS." And the picture blipped, and an image of flowers appeared on the screen, and traditional Chinese music played in the background for about 3 minutes. Then the news returned, and I said to my Chinese friend, "You see, your government blocked the report on SARS." And my friend said, "There was no report on SARS." He had a point. He also commented on how pretty the flowers and the music were, and I had to agree with him. And yet the pro-Beijing camp will tell you that China has religious freedom and press freedom because the Constitution says that it does. Press freedom in China is ranked 4th from the bottom on the Press Freedom Index. On the bright side, they did beat out Turkmenistan and North Korea. Media that are banned in China include the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Reuters, Time, NBC, Le Monde, The Economist, the South China Morning Post, Breitbart, Al Jazeera, Australian Broadcasting Company, Canadian Broadcasting Company, The Guardian, and the Huffington Post. But Article 35 of the Constitution guarantees freedom of speech, assembly, association, and publication. Wow, that sounds like the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. But according to the Freedom House 2016 report on freedom of the press in China, such rights are subordinate to the discretion of the CCP, the Communist Party of China, and its status as the ruling party. And this is very similar to the law on political freedom, which states that the People's Republic of China is officially a multi-party state under the leadership of the Communist Party of China. So there are 8 minor parties, which you're free to join. But in order to continue to exist, the 8 minor parties must acknowledge the leading role of the Communist Party of China. And this is what pro-Beijing voices are referring to when they say China has religious, political, and press freedom. The proof of these freedoms is written into the Constitution. But unlike in the U.S., Freedom House report explains that the Constitution of China, in most cases, cannot be invoked in a court of law as legal basis for asserting individual rights. So, for example, in the United States, if I'm charged with a crime and I can prove that under the Constitution I have the right to engage in those activities, I cannot be convicted. Also, if a citizen could prove that a law infringed upon constitutional rights, the case could go all the way up to the Supreme Court, which has the power to deem a law unconstitutional. And this is part of the system of checks and balances in constitutional democracies and republics. But China has no such checks and balances. Judges are appointed by the CCP and generally follow its directives, particularly in politically sensitive cases. In cases of press freedom, there is no law protecting journalists. In practice, vaguely worded laws relating to state secrets, state security, and disrupting public order are used to convict journalists who print statements which the Communist Party does not approve of. The world got to see a glimpse of this legal machinery in action during the coronavirus outbreak, when several medical workers who tried to warn the public on social media were arrested. At least one of them later died of the coronavirus. This was made possible by the 2013 guidelines related to online rumors and similar laws adopted during the 2015 National People's Congress, which tightened existing restrictions on media freedom and increased penalties for violators of the rules on political or religious expression. Other laws, such as the National Security Law and National Intelligence Laws, obligate companies and citizens to aid the government in intelligence gathering and also to report people and social media accounts who violated media and speech laws. According to a report by the Council on Foreign Relations, views which the CCP does not approve of may be censored, and media outlets receive guidance from Chinese Department of Propaganda, which advises them on what is and is not acceptable content.